The investment philosophy of the modern educational system. We are living in a society designed to make an individual into a slave, a working ant, or more precisely a cog in the huge economic machine. In essence, we are dealing with an educational system that is designed to produce people who have over 95% financial failure rating. It is no surprise that with this much financial ineptness and ignorance that is abundant in the financial executives and the bulk of our society in general, our society is in constant economic turmoil of one kind or another, such as recession, inflation, financial implosion, deflation, market crashes, massive layoffs, economic stagnation, and stagflation, so on and so forth. To explore the reasons behind this absurd phenomenon further, we need to put the educational system under the proverbial microscope and observe the invisible and hidden germs within it. If we do so, we can see that as one goes through the academic system placed in everyone's road from very early stages of life, we cannot help but notice that the underlying theme throughout the many schooling levels, starting with the kindergarten, the grade school, the middle school, the high school, the college, and the university, all could be summed up into one resounding statement, and that is, learn the presented course materials so that you can get a job as a worker, or else we'll flunk you, put you on probation, or academically punish you in many ways. It's interesting to note that they never teach you from the viewpoint of, let's make a business owner out of you. Therefore, never go near materials that would truly empower the individual into a higher realm of prosperity. In other words, they really set one up to be a slave in the elaborate labyrinth of the business world. The modern educational system has no clue about the fundamental and underlying principles of life and livingness, particularly the investment arena. They only emphasize technical data and facts at the hard science and engineering levels, and authoritarian opinions at the soft science, humanities, and art levels of education. The student's mind is littered with so much unnecessary data and useless facts that the student becomes a walking robot upon graduation. He is not equipped with the truly life-enhancing principles of lifelong investment. These powerful investment principles concern one's time, energy, and money, as well as the powerful principles of survival in abundance as described in depth in earlier audio works. The modern university graduate is a rather betrayed individual who has placed his trust in an academic system which has been highly advertised as the ultimate level and end all in one's education, and yet does not deliver. What one soon discovers is truly disheartening and disappointing, because one would quickly realize that what he is being fed educationally does not cut it in the real world, and therefore does not prepare him for the actual zones of combat in the business world or life in general. Much contrary to what we are fed daily by the academic world, acquiring a knowledge base that is self-empowering is much desired for long-term survival in any arena of life. The school graduate today is trained by the most brilliant teachers, who themselves in turn have been trained by people of similar mind and character. The woven thread that runs through the mental philosophy that feeds the entire school system, the teachers and students alike, is mainly composed of scarcity, poverty, and slave mentality, and they teach this philosophy with great fervor and energy. This forms the bulk of the education system, and regardless of the presented fascinating data, fancied information, elegant equations, or inspiring talks, this is what they truly believe in: scarcity, poverty, and slavery. In other words, our today's ignorant and blind teachers and educators have been trained by yesterday's slave-type mentality teachers, which is to say, the blind have led the blind into a blind alley, a land of nowhere for the citizen and the society as a whole, and are training slaves and exporting robots as workforce to the marketplace. This type of educational philosophy quickly will lead into a very dangerous state of affairs where one's moral compass would be completely altered in favor of machines and material goods. The mechanical aspects of existence start taking command over our lives to a point where the machines and mechanical aspects would be dominating our thought patterns on many levels and many fronts. The remedies to problems of life are relegated to mechanical means, such as surgery, lobotomy, etc., or chemical methods, such as pharmaceutical drugs, alcohol, etc., so on and so forth. The blind leading the blind societal syndrome has propounded the philosophy of scarcity, poverty, and slavery, and has been able to perpetuate it successfully for millennia. The governments of Earth and the Earth culture as a whole, on a superficial way, seem to be fighting these three maladies. Nevertheless, they emphasize it and actually promote it by many methods and means. The government authorities, the educators, the doctors, the lawyers, the priests, and the police cannot possibly envision or visualize a prosperous society, because they are strongly creating slave citizens who will be promoting their agendas of scarcity, poverty, and slavery. Truth be told, there is no scarcity, poverty, or slavery in any area except those that are created and manufactured by the slave mentality type of education currently offered on earth and advertised as higher education. This has lulled the public into believing that they are learning and getting educated, all the while being poisoned by the slave and effect type of principles, which, if applied, will make a working ant out of anybody. This slave mentality type of education has contaminated 99.99% of the populace, where the remaining 0.01% are the business entrepreneurs, industry founders, and the creative individuals who somehow either never drank from this poisoned well of pseudo-information or got themselves quickly relieved of the burden of this false education. These people, comprising 0.01% of the populace, quickly saw through the charade of false education and training and went on to discover the actual knowledge and the governing principles behind the scene. These people soon rose into the stratosphere of abundance, affluence, and prosperity. In summary, the society is investing heavily, that is to say, tens of thousands of dollars in each and every individual to train him or her to eventually become a slave or a worker ant, which means basically be a follower and definitely not a leader. They want the individual to become a cog in the economic machinery and definitely are not banking on or even vaguely interested in making him into a leader in his field of study. This is the hidden slant of the modern education system, placed well below the radar of one's observation, which one must be fully aware of before embarking upon this path wholeheartedly. Therefore, this work lays down and bears for the first time the true jewels of life and livingness, of which survival in the business world as well as creating financial independence is just a subset.